Brad.
And I'm Jimmy.
We're your hosts of Sarasota Fantasy Football Challenge, where area restaurants compete in fantasy football for local charities.
Join us each week on Cheryl.
Once again, I'm Cheryl Frampton, and thank you for joining me here on another edition of For Crying Out Loud live here on Blab TV. Now, if you've been following this show, and I know a lot of you have, we've been talking a lot about family violence, particularly in October here in Sarasota. And one of my first guests was James Schlutz from Sarasota County, and we were having a lovely chat about all the things that we could be doing here to help our community, and we've run out of time. So I'd like to welcome James back again, and we will continue with what we can do here in Sarasota. Thank you, James, for coming back. We were chatting away so much last time and completely run out of time. But just for those that haven't or didn't watch, and they should have done and they didn't, can we just recap
Sure.
you know, what you actually do, just briefly, so we can get on to all the good stuff this week?
Well, thank you for having me back.
Right.
Family Violence Awareness Month officially ended yesterday, but for some of us, it's a year-round process. But we did spend the whole first show pretty much talking about some of the statistics.
We did, yeah.
National, state, and local statistics. And just a few of the ones that we talked about that might get us back on track was that in Florida, over half of Floridians reported that they personally know someone who's a victim of domestic violence. In Florida, 1,641 domestic violence calls go into law enforcement every day. And locally, our Spark hotline gets approximately 15 calls a day.
I remember when you went over this last time, I was gobsmacked, for a better word of putting it. I was absolutely shocked. And the thing is, it doesn't get any better, does it? No matter what we're doing, we just can't seem to be getting those numbers down.
Well, it's unfortunate that it does appear that way, because there's this problem. If you want to get the numbers down, the best way to do it is just to close your ears and try not to collect numbers. So it's easy to say, oh, you know, the reported cases are down by not encouraging people to report. And that's, of course, not what we're trying to do. It's not about the numbers, it's about the problem. So the more we keep talking about the problem in settings like this and any place possible, the more people we can get to report, the numbers are going to go up.
And that does work. I mean, just from the shows that we've been doing and what Sarasota's been doing in October, people are talking about things that they wouldn't necessarily talk about, and they are coming out with, you know, family and friends. And obviously, it's just, again, it's word of mouth, isn't it? And just keep on, you know, pushing all the time.
And if you think that some statistics say that the average number of people that actually report it is 1 in 10. We have a long way to go. The numbers are going to go way up before the problem starts going down. I know,
and it is really scary. And I mean, just sort of like the Bureau of Justice and that, was it 3.5 million crimes against, was it 3.5 million crimes against family members? That again, you know, if this sort of a violence was reported in a different setting, I'm just wondering, you know, if more would be done about it and there would be more media coverage and it would be in the paper more.
11% of all crimes between 1998 and 2002 were family violence. And it's a shame, because we think of violence occurring outside of the home, some stranger doing something bad to us or one of our loved ones. And over 1 in 10 crimes is between loved ones or family members.
And you know what has come back to me, and I don't know whether you've had this feedback, is that some of the people I've spoken to actually don't know that they have been abused because it's been verbal, and they don't actually realise that that is a form of abuse.
Absolutely.
And they don't realise that maybe they can be abusive in that way as well.
Yes, there's abuse is far beyond just the physical. And unfortunately, in many cases, other forms of abuse ultimately do lead to physical abuse, and mental, psychological, there's financial abuse, there's all different methods that people use to control and or harm family members that ultimately is violence.
I know. And so I want to, now we know about all of this and we've gone over the statistics and that, what can we do? What here in Sarasota can we do as a community, you know, to get this out more and more, and what is Sarasota County trying to do?
Well, a few of the things that we didn't get to talk about, first of all, is there is some good news in all this. There is a thin silver lining around that black cloud. Florida is pretty much in the forefront among the other states in dealing with this issue between legislation and policies and things of that nature. So our state is doing something about it with funding and also sentencing for perpetrators. Because that's become a lot more stricter, hasn't it, in recent years? Absolutely. Absolutely. And locally here in Sarasota, we already have a lot of involvement. We talked about scope and all the people that were involved in that. Local law enforcement, the courts, we have services, we have places throughout the county where victims can go, they can call. So there are already some solutions in place. And I do know that there's good access lines also to, you know, the legal side of things and housing and social security. I mean, that also has been put in place, which is a big relief to those that are in that situation where they need to have some kind of support and help. Right. And ultimately, we've realized that the systems aren't all perfect. And that's why SCOPE has brought us all together to improve those systems so that it is easier access into the law enforcement, into the courts, and into the services. And also solve the problem before it gets too bad, because it doesn't have to go to the ultimate, to murder. It doesn't have to lead to physical violence. There are signs that show potential victims along the way how to stop this from getting worse. And what people don't understand, and it's been said to me as a woman who's been a victim of violence, you know, many years ago, is like, why do you stay? Why? And it's the same old question, but again, I keep coming back to one of the most dangerous times for any person to leave a violent relationship, particularly with children, is at that point of leaving. That is when you're at your most vulnerable. That is when you're most scary. And so having all these things in place where you have got the help to go to, knowing that there is some kind of support, is really, really important, because that is going to be one of the things that will encourage women and with children, or men even, to be able to take that first step. Absolutely. So we're going to have to take a break, and we'll be right back, and we'll get on with some more. See you soon. Thank you.